Now at McDonald's, get a $5 McChicken meal deal or a $6 McDouble meal deal. They come with small fries, a soft drink, and 4-piece McNuggets. We're going to need a bigger tray. Get more value with your meal deal with McValue.
Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 19 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at The Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media /The Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with March Madness. If you'd like to support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any. For winning cappers, you get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. For anything else, please visit the Odds Breakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. We have a great show for you today because Sean Higgs is back to break down some college basketball for the weekend. If you remember, Sean Higgs was the number one handicapper in college basketball last year, and most of the sites, picks, parlays, sports capping, all the main ones. And I'm excited to talk to Sean about a huge slate of basketball games that some are gonna decide if people are off the bubble, on the bubble, or getting in to the NCAA tournament. Actually, what's discussed less is some of these games are going to decide a little of the NIT and the other tournaments as well. So real excited to talk to Sean. But before Sean comes on, Survivor, my friends, it is back at Splash Sports. I just created the Survivor entry for the Odds Breakers. We're going to have a massive contest here at $20 an entry, up to 25 entries. You can get in this contest and hopefully cash. I love the format that we have for Survivor. I believe it's better than any other format out there because it makes it so it would be much less splits at the end. A lot of these big Survivor contests have hundreds to thousands of people splitting, $100,000, $500,000, whatever it is. But since we make it so you can pick any game in the Elite Eight, but you still have to make two plays, it will make less people splitting. Also, if everybody goes out, it revives, which also gives more people of a chance to have less winners and take home a bigger pot. The pot would max out at over $400,000. Let's see how many people get in. But just check out our website at theoddsbreakers.com for the link to Splash Sports Survivor. Remember last year, big Houston upset against Duke made it so some people got some very, very big money. And if you make it that far and you have two entries, pick one on each side, you're going to be in great shape for March Madness. So highly encourage you getting in this super fun contest. It has been growing over at Splash Sports. So theoddsbreakers.com, click on the link, or just click on the lobby over at splashsports.com. Also, before Sean comes on, we talk ATS, my friends. Little basketball ATS and over under. So we'll start with ATS with your best covering team now. Miami, Ohio, 19-6 ATS, 76%. Sam Houston, 18-6. Stephen F. Austin, 20-7. Portland State, 16-6-1. They fell down a bit. They were over 80% for a while. Navy, 19-8-1. Fresno, 19-8. Howard, 16-7. Eastern Michigan, Arkansas, 19-9. Mercer, Hofstra, West Georgia, 18-9. Then you have DePaul, covering machine, 17-9-2. Not a great team, but a covering machine. Then some main teams. Kansas is sitting there at 18-10, a big covering team in Kansas. St. Louis, 16-9-2. They had some hiccups as of late. How about ASU? Arizona State, 17-10-1. So they've been covering as well. St. Mary's 18-11 now. So St. Mary's with the big win against Santa Clara was huge. And you got Iowa still sitting there in Illinois at 17-11 against the spread with Nova, who's coming up with a big game against St. John's 17-11 against the spread. LSU also, believe it or not, 17-11 against the spread. Now for your worst covering teams, the big fades. Kansas City 5-20. Ugh, terrible. Florida Gulf Coast 7-19-1. Loyola Chicago 8 for 20. Air Force 8-19-1. No force there. Rider 7-16-3. VMI 8-18. Cal State Bakersfield 8-17-1. Ole Miss 9-19. Drake 9-19. Creighton 9-19-1. Oh, Creighton, such a weird team. Then some of the more key names: Mississippi State 10-18. Oregon, who just beat Wisconsin last night, 10-18. Oklahoma 10-17-1. And then Marquette 10-17-1 as well. UConn 11-18, burning your money this season. Kansas State, I guess I'll throw out, and Penn State at 11-17. Two terrible teams right there. Denver 19-7-1 to the over. Xavier 20-8. Providence 20-8. Greensboro 19-8. Cleveland State 19-8. UL Monroe 19-8. Miami, Ohio 17-8. So not only are they covering, they're going way over the spread. Notre Dame 19-9. New Mexico, Tulsa, and High Point 18-9. Some bigger names. St. Bonaventure 17-9, but they're not a bigger name. But I wanted to mention Queens right by them, 19-10. Remember how we were at Queens last year? Oh God, we almost won a big ticket with them. Ole Miss 18-10 to the over, so they're a big overs team lately. We nailed that one this week with LSU. Texas 17-10 to the over. Weird Texas team this year. Big names: Penn State 17-11 to the over. Texas A&M 17-11 to the over. Rutgers 17-11 to the over. Then you have Belmont. I love Belmont. Remember I mentioned them last week, 17-12. So some big ones there. Wake Forest 16-12 to the over. NC State 16-12 to the over. Iowa, believe it or not, 16-12 to the over. Kind of an overs team. Let's go to the unders. We have Fordham still number one, 5 for 20, baby. 80% to the under. Got to keep riding Fordham, right? Penn 16-1. Southern Illinois 8 for 21. UT Arlington 7-18. Northern Illinois 7-18. Ball State 7-18-1. Delaware State 6-15-0. Eastern Michigan 8 for 20. Stonehill 8 for 19 with Canisius in New Haven. And UT Martin 8 for 18. Nebraska 9 for 19. Big unders team is Nebraska. Kansas 9 for 19. Huge unders team in Cincinnati 9 for 19. And Duke 9 for 19. Just unders all the way with these guys, unless they just feel like turning it up lately. It's funny to see the Zags 10 for 20 to the under. What a flip over the past years to the under. So there you have it. Those are your trends that are hot, and we'll see what the value comes up with as if the market over adjusts or not coming in the near future. All right, my friends. Well, let's get into some college basketball for the weekend with our wonderful guest, Mr. Sean Higgs from Midday Money.
Want to be a professional handicapper? Check out theoddsbreakers.com, where we now have live odds and pick tracking. Click on live odds pick tracking, and you can start tracking your picks, partnering with TallySight. Once you develop records and a following, you can use that information to move to the next level, gaining all that experience in your sports betting career. Make sure you check out live odds and pick tracking at theoddsbreakers.com, partnering with TallySight.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Now I'm very excited to welcome back Mr. Sean Higgs from winningfreepicks.com and Midday Money. You can follow Sean on X at Mr. Sean Higgs. Sean, lots going on. I cannot believe it's almost March, my man. I smell The madness in the air. How you doing?
Pretty good. No, winning free picks is shut down. They said, you know what, we don't like that anymore. Keep it to picks and parlays and winners and whiners now. So
Okay, well there you go. Picks and parlays. This was from last time, so I didn't know that. But picks and parlays.
Yeah, and it was still operational, and then they got bought out again. So the Wager Talk people came in and they bought up the site, and they're like, we're going to narrow down all. Kev, you get on these sites, and not that I like come in here and hype my touting kind of nonsense, but there's a lot of like channels that they're on. They have a lot of pages and affiliates, things like that. So next thing you know, you're on all these things, and they only shut down a few of the smaller ones, I guess. So whatever. I'm still picking games.
There you go. Keep picking them.
It's only been 40 years. Hopefully I get some winners.
Last year you were on fire, man. I remember that. I was. You were the number one guy, and that's what I mentioned before you came on. But I don't know how this year's going. Mine's kind of up and down. I'm on a little heater here, but that's how it is in college hoops. So what's different about this year than last year in general? You can just talk basketball or how you're doing or whatever.
Yeah, in college-wise, like last year was a ridiculous year. It was a monster year for me. This year, like you, I started out slow. November up to December 10th, I was 96-100. Like, and that's not terrible, Kiev, right? You're just kind of treading water, which is really sports betting. You're gonna have a good week or two. You're gonna be 60-some% cruising. But when you're losing is that's what kind of makes you like a quote unquote pro kind of guy. Is your losing gonna be 500? 2 in 2 days, 2 in 3 days, stuff like that. And that's what it was for like the first 6 weeks. And then after that, I've kind of turned it around since then. What am I? I was 96-100. Now I'm 297-260. So
okay,
now we're like 30, 40 games over 500, which is again it's nowhere near 60%, but we're in the pluses here. Now we're moving into the positives here. So.
No doubt.
I'll take it. It's a grind. It took a little longer to get there. It really took from January on. I've been really hitting a lot of dogs, and they've been paying off at about a 57% clip. Just good. Really straight dog play for me lately.
Well, way to catch that, man. How is what's different about this year to last year based on a basketball perspective or a market perspective? For example, I'll give you one thing I noticed. I noticed that guard play is a little bit down with the bigger teams, but I noticed that the front court is a lot bigger, like teams like Florida, like teams like UConn, teams like Michigan. I feel like the front court is kind of shining a little bit more than it has in the past.
I mean, you have that thing. I want to go, whether it's front court or back court, just I think the portal kind of stuff still. And it's maybe because I just felt it a little more early for the first part of this year. I just feel like some of these teams, like Florida for one, they started out like, okay, championship hangover.
Sure.
And now they see them kind of getting the act together. I mean, we'll talk about them a little later in the show. I'll talk about them for one of our little segments here. But, it's if anything's really different, Kev, how about just the separation between the good teams and the bad teams? There is such a monumental disconnect, I think, between teams who could win it. You might have you come out with maybe 5 or 10 you think could win the title. Everything else, you don't have a shot. It's really a crazy drop-off, I think, which in years past you have teams that think you'll win, but there's always a little fun to it. There's really going to be no uncertainty. Last year we saw 4 number ones in the finals, right? 4 1 seeds.
Right.
I don't know.
We
want the best team, but sometimes you get a team in there who's playing well and they started out slow, or whatever the case would be, and you get a 4, 5, 6 in there. That's a legit kind of team. This year maybe because you have a top heavy kind of group of 5 or 6 teams that could get it done. But yeah, I look at it that way. I think every year is different, and this year is no exception. For me, a slow start, I want to blame on just the gelling of these guys leaving, because that's where my bread and butter is. Kev, you're probably the same way. Right? You like the mid majors, you like teams that are going to start juniors and seniors, and coaches been there for 9 years, and no longer is the case. Here you go.
Yeah.
Teams in the horizon losing 3 starters off teams. I'm like, what? Like, that would have been like a steal until somebody on ESPN mentions it on like Christmas, some nonsense. Like, you'd be like, oh, you haven't heard about this team. It's because no longer.
Yeah.
It's no longer like that.
No, I know. And then that kind of leads to my next question then. It's different now, but there's always seems to be a small conference team that can make some noise in the postseason, whether it's the NCAA or the NIT or their own conference tournament. Give me a team that you think can make some noise in March that could disrupt some folks.
And this is a tricky one, right? I mean, like you said, is it a team coming into the NCAA tournament? Let's be honest, Miami, Ohio, they're undefeated. They might not make the NCAA tournament if they lose.
Oh, I think they will. But that would be nuts. That'd be. I mean, there would be. I mean, what's funny is that there has been people crazy complaining before, but you're right. It has done nothing in the past. But Miami, Ohio, from a efficiency numbers on Ken Pom and Bartorvik and all that. I mean, the truth is that they're not even ranked in the top 80 in some of these. So it is very strange.
Yeah.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think Akron wins it, and everyone's going to be wondering if Miami, Ohio is going to represent too. Does Akron get 2 teams in the championship?
No, it's not going to happen.
The MAC.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're going to, and as sad as that is, like, you almost kind of want them to lose one of the next couple games before the MAC tournament, right? You kind of want to have that loss, and then if they lose in the MAC tournament, you can say, well, they got 2 losses. Otherwise, they have to go undefeated. Undefeated to be what, a 12 seed? To play who? To play St. Louis or Belmont or McNeese? Because let's be honest, that's who they're going to be facing. They're gonna put them up against another little team you want to bet on,
which
right?
sucks.
And those are.
And I said Belmont last week because I want to see Belmont playing like a SMU. I'd like to see Belmont playing like a North Carolina. I would love to see Belmont play someone like that. But of course they're going to screw.
They're not going to get that team.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
They'll get a team you want to see kind of play somebody else, like you just said.
Yeah.
And that's the same part. Like, you have your kind of like a like McNeese out of the Southland, or like, where are they going to be? Right? They're a top, I think, like I got them as a top 50, 60 team. I think they should be in there, even though they're out of a small conference. They're going to face, let's be honest, maybe they face the Akron, Miami, Ohio MAC champion. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. That would be a terrible thing. Like, oh, look at this. They're rewarding the Southland and then putting them against a mid-major, like, say, Santa Clara or Utah Valley or somebody gets in there. It's just this is the kind of nonsense, and not to get off onto college football. We saw this in their playoff seeds, right? The SEC, they separated enough where Mississippi played a garbage team, so they'd have a team in the semis. A team's always advancing. That's what they'll do here. They're going to put your questionable big schools against each other. They're not going to match them up versus your High Points and Stephen F. Austin's and these kind of Utah Valley, small conference champions. You want to cheer for them, you can't. They're not in a situation. They'll be playing another team and they'll be like, well, there goes my little dog I'm looking at. It's playing another dog I want to play on. No, they got them matched up in the first 4, right? Instead of the first 4 being a 18-15 Auburn out of SEC, no, it's going to be 29-3 High Point versus 30-2 Akron. Like, how the hell is that fair to those schools?
It's not.
Because none of those schools would schedule them. None of them would play those guys. Nobody in the Big Ten's playing a MAC school.
Yeah,
we lose, we're terrible. We win, it hurts our schedule.
The protection's got to go away, and we've seen enough of it. And I don't want to see, those, West Virginias, if they can somehow get in. I don't want to see NC State now after what they've done lately. Clemson, I don't want to see Clemson. I don't want to see Indiana. I don't want to see UCLA. I'd much rather see Miami, Ohio. I'd much rather see Belmont, like I mentioned earlier. Akron, like you mentioned. I want to see all those teams. I don't need you don't need this mid
of the road. I wouldn't even call some of these guys mid of the road. Like UCLA, I call them lower Big Ten teams right now, right? We don't need to see that anymore. So I totally agree. I'm going to go with Yale that could make some noise. And and the reason it is because they can shoot their brain lights out. And you know how that is. When you're a big team coming in, you just start out a little cold. All of a sudden, Yale, who's number 2 in 3-point percentage, ranking, 41% is what they hit on threes. That could be danger for anybody, man.
Yeah.
And that would be fun to see a 15-2 upset or something like that with Yale creeping on in. I don't know where they'll be seated, but that would be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be keying in on the team that they get to play and seeing if they can guard the three because, this is a team that can get blown out too. Don't get me wrong. But I think Yale is a candidate here that could make some noise in March Madness.
It's is it as much as a make some noise as are we going to cover here? Like, because I'm with you on the Yale. Yale will be a dog. I'm going to look at a lot of these teams, and I'm going to bet them on. I'll be out in Vegas for the NCAAs. I'm going out there that Tuesday there, but I'm not going to be betting stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Probably not. I'll probably line stuff in on Sunday because by the time all the shows come out on Monday morning and through the week, everybody's gonna have their trendy dog. And you know what? I'll probably be on that dog because I'm just a dog guy as it is. But I don't need that nonsense. I don't need to lose 1.5 points of value because somebody on Tuesday is gonna steal your thunder on Yale or whoever else that if it's a Utah Valley out of the whack or something like that. Where I'm like, I'll take a shot on these, getting points. I got to move early before that. I can't let that noise get in my head. And one last thing, what you're saying about the like your West Virginias and NC States, why Kiev? I do not understand. Well, they're over 500 in this conference. Well, there's 20 freaking teams in the conference. Of course, you're gonna be over 5. I mean,
Sure,
you're 8-7.
Yeah, give me a top 3 teams in like a small Missouri Valley. Give me a top 3 teams in the I would have said Mountain West in the past, but probably not now. But you know what I'm saying. They're top 3 teams in the WCC. Anything better than like the top 10 teams in the Big 10 or the Big 12 and stuff like that. Maybe top 7. Give them 7 teams. That's fine. But I don't need to see any more than that.
Back to Miami, Ohio. If it's like, well, who'd they beat? Who cares? They're undefeated. If it's that easy for these mid-majors going undefeated, how come it's never happened before? Like, we saw Wichita State have a good run in one year, and then they match them up with Kentucky, defending champion Kentucky in the second round. Like, how was that fair to a team that went like 30-0 or whatever Wichita State was that time? Right. It doesn't happen. I don't care that they didn't play anybody you don't think's good. You went out there and won 28 straight times, 29, 30 in a row. You deserve to be. You have one loss. You deserve to be in there. I don't care if you're mid-Tennessee State and you're 30-1 in the Sun Belt back in the day. Put that team in a tournament over a 500 team out of a power conference. It's just wrong.
Yep,
it's just
100%. Wrong. I agree, and I will always agree with that. Let's go to buy low, sell high. Then, do you have a team like maybe you're going to buy low or sell high on? Like I have a couple that I'm thinking. It doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to jump on the next game, but somebody I can see having some value on.
By the way, your Yale here is projected as a 12 seed there, so nice 12 seed Yale.
5-12,
looks pretty good for
5-12.
Good. And there's Belmont too. They got Belmont on the 12 line too as well.
They both have to win their tournaments though. They both have to win their tournaments.
Yeah. Do you want to buy low on Houston after their poor performances last? They really totally hit the skids the last couple weeks. Just bad. I mean, not scoring for 10 minutes. Almost as bad as St. John's not scoring for 17 minutes. Although I'm not buying on the Johnnies. I don't think the Johnnies are a championship team. Houston, I do believe, is a still Final Four caliber team. I think you probably buy low on them right now the way they're playing.
Yeah, I like that because that fits two of my and this was a play that I might have to lay 16 on this weekend, but Colorado's finished, even if they somehow beat Houston, which, not going to happen. They're still out of the tournament unless they win the Big 12 tournament. So they have no big wins past Providence at 9 or TCU at 50. Let's say TCU at 50.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is they might start playing a little bit, but once it starts getting away from them, it's going to be a 30-point deficit. It's kind of like the angle that I like this year is two teams that don't care playing each other. You like the over because they're not playing defense, and teams are giving up until their tournament, which they're going to be in their tournament. You fade at the end here because they don't care. They'll quit. So I agree with Houston. Now, Houston was a sell high team for me about a month and a half ago or a month ago.
Yep.
And now that they lost 3 in a row here, even though the number's not going to show it, I can only bet on them this weekend.
I agree with you. And I'm not one for laying 4, 5, 6, definitely not double digits, but that's a spot where, all right, we're going to get right. We got to get right before the tournament, end of the season. This is a spot for them. And just going forward, Houston's a good team. Not that I want to sell, but I even want to buy, even though they're on a high. It's Florida. And I remember, I think beginning of the year, beginning of the year, I meant literally the calendar year here. I think they were like an 8 or 9 point favorite at Georgia. And I'm saying to myself, why the heck are these guys favored by double digits? They played terrible. They haven't been getting any good play, right? They were just kind of scuffing along. And then they whacked them, and they just went on this crazy run. What did they won? I think they won like 7 or 8 in a row now. I mean, they look as good as anybody else. I know Michigan's going to get love, and Duke just knocked them off. I'm getting a little high on Florida at 11-1. I think, you know what? I think it'd be worth a shot there for them. It is a high spot, and not that I'm selling a high spot. I'm buying their high spot, thinking this team is a legit one that could get on there for them. And selling wise, this is really kind of like a cop out. But the Texas Tech with the injury, that just hurts them. That's again, it because that's a team where you'd be buying like, hey, people aren't really talking about them. They're a solid team. They got some nice wins under their belt, and that's what you kind of look at, right, Kev? Like you play in the Big 12, you got some good teams in the Big 12. Kansas, Iowa State, Arizona. You got some Houston. You got some teams that are legit basketball teams there. But that injury, you got to sell them, and I hate selling based on injury. Who knows? Maybe they go on a little inspired run. That's too big of a loss. Too big a loss to think they could pull that out to go into a Final 8 or Elite 8 area, I think, at least.
I agree, and I mentioned that when an injury happens, you get on the very next game because they're all going to dig deep, and then you fade them the rest of the time. As a matter of fact, I do have this Texas Tech as one of my 3 games picked to discuss. I'm going to buy a little bit low on Auburn. I'm not saying I'm going to jump on them just yet. Everything's number dependent here, but Auburn's kind of a team where, they were much better than this over the past 3-4 years, and Bruce Pearl leaves and the son takes over and all that, and I think maybe a little embarrassed here. They lost 6 of the last 7 games. They're not a great team, don't get me wrong, but playing Ole Miss, playing LSU, these are winnable blowout type games, and then they'll have to get ready for Alabama here. But Auburn's another team I don't want to see in the tournament, really. And they're probably just going to get in based on their name, and I don't know where they're projected to be. It sucks because this is another one that's a bubble team now. But I think they should be able to blow those teams out, and I think they're going to get a little bit of help from the Zebras themselves. So I'm gonna buy low on Auburn, and I'm gonna sell high on Baylor. Man, I'm gonna give Baylor credit for the way they played AZ. They tried their ass off. They knew that if we can just get AZ here, maybe we can get into the conversation. But guess what? It failed at the end, and once it failed at the end, they are toast. This is a team I'm not looking to back coming up here, and kind of going into some of the stuff I said in one of the games I picked. I did pick Baylor versus UCF. You'll see my handicap on that one in a few minutes.
Auburn. You mentioned Auburn. Someone had said, I was at my other shows, like, "Oh, Auburn." I'm like, Auburn in a tournament. I said, they're under 500 in the SEC, and what are they? They're 16-13, whatever their record is. Mm-hmm. Like they literally have to, even if they could lose to Alabama. And they'll be 17-14 going into the SEC tournament, and they're going to be a 10 seed.
Yeah,
and I can't buy on those guys.
Yep.
I can't. That's the problem with the tournament, because they're going to go in like, oh, the SEC, look at this, or we got all these guys in here.
I'll definitely be fading
Really?
Auburn in the tournament, I would think. Until that
Oh, for
happens
sure.
as a team, I would probably want to buy on just because the SEC wants them in. So I think that's a situation where I'm going to be looking maybe to back them. It sucks because you're going to be laying points, but that's just how it is sometimes. And I think there's going to be some quit into LSU. I don't know, did they beat Ole Miss? I took that over, and they went to like double overtime. I fell asleep last night. The over hit before overtime. LSU ended up winning against Ole Miss, so they did win and one on the road here, but they're toast. They have Oklahoma and Auburn coming up here, so a spot where I would consider laying it with Auburn, but everything's under depend. Ole Miss, by the way, Ole Miss. I don't know what the hell's going on with Chris Beard, man, but this team is bad. This team's really, really bad, and they gave it. They're all on a team that in the game they might win against LSU. I think they can just quit against Auburn too. So I'll be looking a little bit at Auburn this weekend. Let's get into some games, Sean. We are covering the weekend here, and you picked some beauties coming up here already starting on Friday. And you mentioned it, Miami of Ohio against Western Michigan on Friday. And Miami, Ohio, they're on such a tear. You just wonder how they just keep getting up in the morning and just not having that one tired, frustrating day. Maybe you freaking got a bad grade in your test. Maybe your parents are complaining or your friends are pissed at you for not paying attention to them. I don't know. It's just amazing to see them go through 20-some games already and win all of them in a row. Don't get me wrong, their non-conference was a cake. But then you have a Western Michigan team that really has nothing else to do but maybe play the spoiler. So we're looking at like a 9 to 10, maybe 11-point spread here, even though Western Michigan's at home. What do you see in this game?
So you bring up all good points. And what I want to do here with this team, and we talked about like where they're ranking in the Ken Palm with their offense and defense and all that stuff. How about for the next couple games, I think they got 3 left here. This is where I want to just go money line against them. If they're going to get picked off, why not go with a home team getting 9 points? You're going to be getting whatever it's going to be on your book. This would be a fade for me. Now, I'm not going to take the points because Miami, if you look at these scores, they're beating these teams by double digits. It's not like they're not covering, right? I mean, they're taking care of business. I would look at to do them in the next 2 weeks. They got here, home against Toledo, which will probably be not a crazy number because Toledo's not a terrible bad team for MAC standards. But can they get picked off in one of these games coming up? Yeah. You're a 10-point favorite on the road. The bullseye can't be any bigger. The pressure's on you. They're reading between the lines. They have to go undefeated to make the tournament. That's got to be like, you kidding me? You can get picked off. You're getting a big number today. It'll still be a shorter number against a good team next game, and then a rivalry game versus the Ohio Bobcats. I think they lose one of them, and if you hit the first or the second, you're guaranteed money because you just pull out on the third one, and you're good to go. That's how I'm looking at that. I mean, more of the rest of the 3-game set than just one game, Kiev. But I'd like to fade them. I think the pressure will get to them one of these games. And the first 2, you know what I'm saying? If I don't get the first 2, will I do the third one? Possibly, but I'm thinking they get picked off in one of these games here.
Well, your high volume is high volume. Something worked well for you, and so high volume. This is how you pick them off, and maybe you can get all 3 if they're rolling here. I can tell you this: you win both 2, you might not even lay off the third one. I don't know; it just depends. But this is
and right? A team loses, they losing 3. We saw at Arizona, right? 23-0. Then what happened? They lose the next 2 in a row.
I know they did. They collapsed. They really did.
And this is, people. If I'm going to lose a game, I'll lose a game. You're going to lose a game betting. So I look at this as a long term, even though it's just for a week here, 8 days or whatever. 3 games. I get the first one. I'm sitting pretty because it's the biggest odds on the board. And I could be like, there you go. I'll forget about these guys until the tournament. But I'll come back on Toledo, which is what's that line going to be against Toledo? 4 or 5? That'll be a low line. They were a 1-point dog against them last time they played.
Yeah, Toledo will be a prime for the upset too. So I will be looking at Toledo as well. So I love that. So we'll put a maybe in for you plus 11 WMU Western Michigan plus 11. Any of these teams can pick it up one of these days. These kids play basketball their whole lives. So, and that's what you're talking about. You're talking about a dog looking to make some noise here and kind of fix their season by taking out Miami, Ohio. All right, so you picked maybe the best game of the weekend, Michigan going to Illinois, and I guess Michigan's number 2 and Illinois is number 11 or 10 or something like that. Illinois on the efficiency sites are a better team than 11. They're number 4 on KenPom. They are on Bark Torvik. Sorry, I'll pull it up here. They are number 5. And if you do probably just a conference, they're way up there. What do you think about this? Right now we already have a spread. We'll check out our friends here at FanDuel Sports and look at it right now since we have it. FanDuel, you have close to a pick 'em really. Michigan's minus 115 on the money line here. And the total is now up to 157.5. I'm going to be honest. I saw it 155.5 yesterday. I almost took the over. But these teams are such trends to the under. And I think part of the reason is they blow out so many people and it just ends up under. But now I could see it going over too. But maybe you have something on the total or the side for us.
I would lean to the over here. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw Michigan go, and I thought it'd be an under versus Duke. I thought it'd be kind of a low scoring, let's feel each other out kind of game there. That one sailed over. Even Purdue last night against Michigan State, I think that game went over. I'm going to say over in this one. Mm-hmm. And Illinois, now, they do have losses, Kiev, right? Look at their schedule. Alabama, UConn. Okay, you lost Nebraska. You also beat Nebraska. Tennessee, Purdue, you got some nice wins. This is a team, they haven't won them all like Michigan with their sexier record, but this is definitely a team that's battle-tested, talented. I mean, they got a freshman as good as anybody. You're going to give me a pick 'em here? And why do I feel like people are just going to jump on Michigan? Now, maybe last game that was a spot off of the Duke loss, but I still feel the same. That's a team that everybody loves. You flash back to like 40-point. You go over their thing, and that December run, I think, really solidified them, like beating teams by 40, right? You beat Gonzaga by 40, beat these teams by 35. They're like, holy cow, like what the hell's going on here? I think that is embedded in people's heads, that kind of streak when you're beating other top 20 teams by 20 and 30 points. But I don't know, man. Big 10 rivalry like this, I'm taking Illinois. I'll take Illinois on the money line here. Just pick them up. 1 point. 1.5. What is this? Am I going to lose by a half a point on a free throw? So be it. Give me Illinois.
And the over.
And why not get, yeah.
It's kind of correlated.
I think they score.
It's correlated.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Illinois in the over.
I wouldn't bet Michigan here. I'd like we said before, I feel like a lot of these losses come in twos. Like you saw Arizona just lose 2 in a row, then they don't cover the third game. Kansas has had some pretty bad spots themselves. Iowa State has kind of fallen into the 2 bad games in a row. They lost to Kansas and Cincinnati in a row, right? So they only beat Baylor by 3 points, and they lose to TCU. They had a bad stretch. It just feels like 2 in a row has kind of been happening a lot this year for some weird reason. It's kind of something I noticed. I never talked about it in any shows or anything, but it is something I'm kind of noticing here. They did beat Minnesota, but yeah, I mean, they didn't cover. I mean, they're like 21, 22-point favorites against Minnesota, and they freaking win by 10, and that was a close game. Illinois.
You're not going to have crazy 20-point wins every week, especially when you get into conference play versus teams come on, there's no love lost between these guys. They're going to be tough games. Yeah. And losing on the road. Yeah, how many times have we seen teams lose on the road in college basketball? It's kind of not accepted, but you kind of expect the home and home split with good teams. That's just, it's not a shocker. It happens.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately for us, they only play once. Fortunately for these guys, they only play once because this is a very challenging game. Obviously, I think they're the top 2 in the Big Ten. Purdue, I know, is ranked a little higher than Illinois. I disagree. I think Illinois and Michigan are the top 2 in the Big Ten, and Illinois at home. I think Big Ten home court is massive too. I'd probably take Illinois myself here, especially. You're looking at minus 104 here on FanDuel Sports, plus 1.5, minus 122. I'd much quicker take the minus 104. You're looking at 18 cents between Pick'em and plus 1.5. That's ridiculous right there. So I would definitely take the minus 104 on that one. Let's get into some Saturday games then. And I got one here for you. I got Texas Tech versus Iowa State. I know the efficiency sites say 5.5, 6. I'm going to say it's going to be at least 7, 7.5. I'm fine with both, but this is just simple to me. Texas Tech lost their best player, torn ACL. JT Toppin sucks. I had a little him to win Player of the Year too, but woe is me, whatever. Red Raiders, they got their bump, like we just talked about. They destroyed Kansas State and Cincinnati, and now it's kind of like back to normal here. Iowa State, they're still legit 2 seed, and it's still in the hunt for it, and possibly they can even make a 1 seed if they win out here and win the tournament. They just have better wins. Purdue, St. John's, they're just a well put together basketball team, and they're such a different team at home than they are on the road. And now they're at home here. They're going to have a huge near proximity scoring advantage in the paint here because of JT Toppin being out. So you can throw away all those numbers that you see on Texas Tech here being good in the paint. Iowa State also shoots over 60% effective field goal at home. Texas Tech only 55.8 away with Toppin. Toppin took over 30% of their shots. Did you know that?
Yeah.
30% of their shots. This is where I see complete blowout system here. I'm taking Iowa State. I'm going to say 7.5. I'll see where it comes, but I'm good with Iowa State minus 7.5 here.
I'm agree 100% with you there.
All right, cool.
And again, we talk about teams that don't get a lot of love. Iowa State's a team I know that people talk about, right? It's Arizona, it's Kansas, it's Houston. Everybody was talking about Texas Tech as a sleeper. Nobody's talking about the team that's like the best team in the conference right now. It's Iowa State. Right? Think about it, yeah, right? Who do you think? That's not the team you talk about in the Big 12.
Right.
At all this year. At all.
It's not. And that's what I love about them kind of creeping in, being quiet here. Nobody's talking about them anymore. So I love the
being quiet. They're probably going to be the 1 seed. Like, I think Arizona's a team I would definitely want to fade in tournaments.
Yeah, with that coach there. Yeah. Olsenberger is a better coach than what's his face, Tommy over at Arizona. I believe, that.
It's not Lute Olson anymore.
Tommy Lloyd. I forgot his last name. Lloyd, and that's funny because Lute Olson's been years ago. We loved Lute Olson back in the day. Sean bringing up the old times when they used to win championships over there. Which Arizona's still the top basketball school, but yeah, it would not shock me to see Iowa State sneaking into Arizona in a week and winning. That's coming on Monday, baby. That's going to be Iowa State. But you know what? Iowa State, it can't afford to look ahead. They have to take care of business against Texas Tech, and that's what's going to happen, in my opinion. You got a big game too coming up on Saturday. You got Zags versus St. Mary's, I believe, and this is fun because this is actually closer to Pick'em, And I'm like, wow, after St. Mary's just blew out Santa Clara, that was a 5.5 point spread. They won by 19 points. It was at home, but now they're going to play the Zags at home to kind of close it off. Now they lost to the Zags by about 7-8 points back on January 31st, and Graham Ike was playing. And now, Gonzaga is more healthy than they were before. They definitely lost Braden Huff, but he was gone since January 15th, so he'd even factor into this game. So what do you think on a very close to pick'em type spread here with Gonzaga versus St. Mary's?
I like Mary's here, and I thought when that Mary's, it was 3.5 against Clara yesterday, and then it went right up to 5.5. I'm like, ooh. If that, at 3.5, I thought it was a little low. Like, I thought that's a lot of respect for Clara on the road. 5.5 seemed about right. Mary's was down a little bit in the first half, rallied back, big second half. That's what they do here, Morgana, man. I like them at home here. And look at the history. They always play them tough here. And this Kiev, how about the last time they faced them here? That's it, because, right, we got conference realignment coming, so adios to these guys playing each other.
Yeah,
I'm going. And listen, Mary's usually wins one game. If they don't win this one, put all your eggs, and I'll say this: take all your eggs and put them in one basket to beat them in the championship game at the Orleans or wherever they're playing the WCC championship game. Because St. Mary's always gets one from Gonzaga. over the year, whether it's home or in a championship game. They've done it before. They're going to grab it. I'll take them here in their farewell to the conference opponent here at home. So,
and Gonzaga's going to the Pac-12, but no football, right? Because they don't have it. I don't believe. Yeah. It's, which is kind of weird, but that's just how it is sometimes. I remember it's been like that in the 80s.
I mean, it'd be nice if they still play each other. Like you think that. I mean, these guys.
I think they will in the non-con, but it won't be the same, rivalry home and home, right? It's not going to be like that.
No, not for the same season. I mean, they could set something up home and home over like a 4 or 5 year period, which would be nice.
Right.
I mean, go look at the history of these games. Go over them together. Like you get some good games here between these two. There's no love lost, even.
Oh, fantastic games. Gonzaga lost to St. Mary's both times last year, if you remember. And, Gonzaga lost to them once the year before, so they split in 2024. They also split in 2023. So, this is a massive rivalry that's going to suck to see it go. Split in 2022 as well. So, actually, sorry, 2022 they won 2 or 3 because they lost in the tournament. They always end up meeting up in the final game of the tournament, right? So that's just how it happens. So I was talking reg season, but yeah, man, it really sucks to see this rivalry go. So you like Mary's and probably Pick'em-ish, but maybe.
Probably Pick'em.
You're gonna you might get plus 2.5 too. That I think there's a chance you're gonna get. People are gonna jump on the Zags here because of the win earlier. So I think you might get a little bit better.
Again, for me, Kiev, like these, we're talking about bigger schools and stuff like that. They're usually the last kind of ones on the board I look at most of the time because the lines are going to be right on point. You're gonna have to dig for why. You're gonna have to come up with a reason. Like I like this team because of X, Y, Z. It's not gonna be because of the lines. The line is more of when I got my other game we talk about, like these kind of wacky games. This is where I like to go into why I'm taking, point spread and stuff like that, these kind of games. Not as much as Iowa State and Texas Tech, but more of these guys who like to go to.
Baylor UCF. UCF's -5. I'm going to put total 163. And this is kind of going to my sell high thing with Baylor. It's like, what, are you selling high? They don't win much. Well, I'm selling high because they're too high in the efficiency sites, and they're going to get too much respect in the marketplace at UCF. Like I said, they had Arizona dead nuts and then blew it at the end. And I like fading teams like this, especially when they're toast now. And Baylor just has no chance of making the dance unless they win the Big 12 tournament. So I see a team like this packing it in. Until then, UCF just came off 2 huge road victories against Utah and BYU. Is BYU a letdown spot? I'm not so sure about that. I mean, they're relatively new to the Big 12.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Conference, and BYU is not exactly a perennial basketball school. They were always the pesky one, but they lost their coach Pope to Kentucky. It's not like that's a destination there. They're always playing great basketball. Don't get me wrong, but I'm liking the Black Knights here, and they're right now in the NCAA tournament, but if they slip up, they could be packing, and that's problems for them. And Baylor is just so bad away from home. They only shoot 47.8% effective field goal percentage from home. I'm gonna lay the points for the UCF because I think UCF's kind of that quiet team no one's talking about as well.
I could get in the bus with you and ride that one. And like you said, letdown spot. If if they were playing on the road, you say, all right, maybe they get picked off there, or if it was like the second game of a home and home, it was a travel spot. And obviously BYU, there was a lot of hype with them this fall, right? They got their big freshman or whatever, like, oh, look at this signing, and they're going to be good. And
he got hurt.
So. You applied a couple losses together here. You lost another guy. Nice win by Central Florida. I like them here at home, and I'm with you. This is a team. Even their football team, like they're trying. It takes a while to kind of build in a big conference when you come up from a smaller one, but they've done a pretty damn good job in both college, in both their football and basketball departments here getting on par with some of these better Big 12 teams. So, hats off to them. But I'm with you. Let's go. Let's lay it here with Central Florida over Baylor.
Well, the next game you picked is in the best conference of all of basketball in the MEAC. South Carolina State at Maryland Eastern Shore. I talked to Josh Nunn about a game like this too. I think it was Coppin State versus one of them, and we picked the under and it went freaking overtime. That's what happened. Maryland Eastern Shore went overtime, so we got smoked on the beat. But we got 346 rank on KenPom Maryland Eastern Shore versus 358th South Carolina State. I'm guessing you might be toying with the total here because. Yeah, I mean, South Carolina State is going to be a dog of about 5 to 7 points here. They have it at about 133 as a total. What do you think about this thing?
I'm not totals. I'll dig a little bit. I think I maybe got about 90 totals on the year, and maybe I'm like 58 and 45 or something. I haven't been terrible. I'm looking at a side here with South Carolina State, and this is what I was just talking about of where I kind of like to my dogs, Kiev, and. Since, again, I want to go back to, I think, January 8th or 9th, I've just been documenting my dogs, even the ones I take and the ones I don't take, and they've just been kind of crushing along at a very impressive win clip. And for me, this is what I've been taking. I've been going into the MEACs, the A-Suns, the Sun Belts, these little things. South Carolina State here. And I tell people, and you know this, like, these schools go on the road, which is why they're 8 and 20 and 7 and 20 respectively, because they go out and pick up $250,000 paychecks from schools and take 13 straight losses to start seasons. That's all fine and dandy. I'm going to jump to their conference play where one team is 5 and 6 and the other team is 4 and 7. That's who they play. These are their peer kind of teams. And if you look at not just this, a lot of these conferences, these little guys like this, whether it's the Southland or the SWAC or the MEAC or Big South, you're going to get dogs like South Carolina State catching 6, 7, 8, 9 points or sometimes more. And you look at these conference records, they're nearly identical. You're going to have a team that's at the top. And even here, you got 2 teams with 8 wins, 1 with 7, 1 with 6, 2 with 5, and 1 with 4. Maryland Eastern Shore is 4 wins. South Carolina State is 5. Is there that much difference even between the team that has 7 wins? Like, you have 5 teams bunched together. You're going to give me a touchdown here? South Carolina's 6-3 and also 6-3-1 ATS just in the series the last 10. Again, these are guys aren't leaving these schools. Nobody's getting out of here and going to Alabama. No, these guys kind of stick here. Maybe they bounce around to other teams in their conference. Eastern Shore, 7 straight up losses, 1 and 6 ATS. 4 of them favored in those games, losing, and yet they're favored by probably a touchdown here. No. South Carolina State. I believe I forgot what they're called. They're not the Hornets. I think Delaware State's the Hornets. I do not know what South Carolina State is. There's something.
The Bulldogs.
Give me South Carolina State.
They're the Bulldogs from Orangeburg, South Carolina. And just looking on KenPom here, I wouldn't be able to pull that out of my hat because I'm not a big name guy myself. So I had to look that up for you just because I had it open. But, man, yeah, it's the Bulldogs against the Hawks. So if you need to know, I think there's going to be more people in my backyard on Saturday than at this game. But either way, if it's there to bet on it, if you find value, they all cash the same. So that's what's important. Love it, man. +7. I think you will get a touchdown in that game, too. Let's go to the final game that I have, and that's TCU versus Kansas State. Kansas State +2 total. 154 is my projection. Why the hell are you doing this one, Kiev? People ask, why? I'm sure people are thinking that. Well, it's not about the big dance.
Not after the game I just gave, Kiev.
Just like I said, man, Sean led me into this, so thank God Sean went first. Kansas State, they play hyperspeed, man. 11th on Haslametrics and pace. I think it'd be more than that if they are just not getting completely smoked in a lot of these games. TCU, they rank in the middle, but they do play faster in average possession length on offense. They rank 61st in average possession length on offense. I love that number. Horned Frogs are kind of a bubbly team. They could sneak into the tournament, maybe. I hope not, but you know how it is. Kansas State, completely out. But this is where the defense goes away, and this team's at home. and that's why I think they're going to control the pace here. I think they're just going to run. Kansas State, they're going to put on some points, and they ain't defending shit. The last time these teams played, it went to 166 in a nail biter. Kansas State knows they can keep up with TCU. I'm taking the over here. I think it's going to be way undersold at 154 here. This is going to probably remind you of one of those Summit League high flying games or something like that, where you see every once in a while between like South Dakota State and North Dakota or something. I think that over 154 is an easy play for me.
K-State, they fired your coach because he was mean to the players, right? He said you guys don't deserve to wear a uniform, right? It's K-State.
That sure happened. And there's another firing today. I don't know if you saw that. Oregon State's coach, Twinkle.
He got fired after he covered last night in overtime?
I believe so.
Yeah, I had San Diego plus a 6.5 there. They drain a 3 with no time on the clock from half court, and they go to overtime, and of course we lose. That's where your dogs would have died overtime. How do you get fired after a win?
I don't know. It's weird. And why would you do it with one game left? It's like, why bother? Maybe he pissed someone off. He probably bitched out the athletic director or something. But here's the thing.
The athletic director probably bet against him.
It's hard.
Like, what are you doing, man? I had the other team, and you cost me.
Exactly. What's funny is that this Oregon State team, They were out of a conference. They were disrespected by the ACC not bringing them in, and nobody else bringing them in. But when you see like Stanford and Cal going, and you see Washington, the rivalry going, and Oregon going, and the Big Ten, and now you're fired the coach after all this. It's like the fact that they win 10 games is impressive. In my opinion,
it's the coach's fault. Like you're the freaking AD, bro. How's it?
Yeah, I don't know why he got fired, but they were 16 and 14. It's like, what the hell? They did make that run to almost the Final Four. Wasn't it the Elite Eight? They might have made it to the Final Four that year. I have to look back, but they did make a run. It says at the end of the season, so I guess maybe he's gonna be allowed to coach one more game or something. But.
Well, end of the season, not like during any kind of tournament or nothing. I was gonna say, you play on them. Everybody's gonna be like pumped up for them in a tournament, but you know what? There is none.
Well, now you got to bet. Now you got to bet them against Santa Clara on Saturday. So just remember that.
We know they won't be paying their $25,000 to get into the CIT or the CBI or one of those pay to go tournaments. So they won't be taking any tournament action. They want the coach out. They're not going to accept the NIT bid or something.
No, they're not. No. It's funny. They have 2 wins in a row here. Yeah. The athletic director did bet San Diego for sure. He was just like you. Well, that's crazy. Well, there you go. There you have it. We got our games in. Let's go a little hodgepodge here. Since you got a little time, I got a little time. Let's talk about a couple other big games coming up this weekend. And Friday you kind of covered the biggest one. Akron at Kent State is kind of interesting on Friday, but let's talk about Alabama at Tennessee. Tennessee's going to be laying 4.5, 5. I don't know about that. I'll say this Tennessee team, they do play a lot better at home. They have a really good front court, but I don't know. Alabama was injured for a long time, and now they're just playing a little bit better. It's a great spot. It's a much better spot for Tennessee after they lost to Missouri on the road, and Alabama winning 7 games in a row. But
yeah,
I don't know, 4.5, 5. I'd be tempted to lay it on Bama. I don't think that Tennessee beat Bama in Alabama 79-73, but Bama was without a few guys that game. If you remember. They were without 2 or 3 starters. I remember I bet Bama and the line was moving up and down, and I got smoked on that one. But they were without a few guys that game too. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep it on my radar. If I get 4 or 5 points, 4.5, 5 points, maybe 5 is my number on that. But it's gonna be a fun game.
I would lean Bama. I don't automatically just play on a home dog because look at this, I'm getting points and I'm a ranked team kind of thing. I think Alabama's a good team. You think of what, 4 or 5 points?
Yeah, but it's in
Ball
Tennessee.
for me?
It's in Tennessee, and Tennessee's laying 4.5, so it's a way dog.
Oh, okay, it's in Tennessee. Oh, I thought Alabama was laying in Tennessee. I thought you said.
Yeah.
Oh, so they'll be on the road. Okay.
It's a road dog.
I didn't even look at this one here.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even Saturday
Let's
yet,
see.
so just
Oh, no, that's all right. Yeah, well, like I said, 7 straight wins for him, kind of rolling along here. For me, just looking at that long win streak, and then Tennessee's off a loss to Mizzou, it would be play on Tennessee, especially if it's going to be 4 or 5 points, right? Who's not going to take Alabama? Look at this.
It's
They
a
won
spot.
7 in a row and getting points.
It's a spot play for Tennessee. Tennessee's a much better home team.
Yeah.
Alabama's way better on the road, but Alabama's stats are a little skewed without all their guys most of the season. Like they're finally got most of them back. I don't know. I'm probably staying away personally, but one of those. What about Kansas at Arizona? How about that? Arizona, a little bit of a revenge spot here. What's the deal with Kansas losing to Cincinnati the way they freaking did? And then on Monday, they beat Houston by 13 points. It's just like they get their ass kicked at home. Then they beat Houston. Now they're going to Arizona. I feel like Arizona is going to freaking open up a can. But you're going to pay a premium. You're going to be freaking 10 points. This is going to be like
10 points.
Oh yeah, this is going to be about 9 to 11 point favorite here. Anything lower than that, I'll be shocked. To be honest with you.
And it goes to the same thing we're just talking about a spot with the Tennessee game, right? It's like you got Kansas coming in off a huge win and they pulled that one out late, right? Houston was kind of hanging tough there, and they got the cover. It's an Arizona spot, especially if it's at 10.
Yeah.
But we saw this before, though. Wasn't Arizona 10 over Texas Tech, and Tech came in there and beat them off of that losses too? But again, if I'm seeing 10 when Arizona, just my gambling gut says I'm taking Arizona there. Why is that line so high? Right? Everybody's going to run. Kansas is a top 10 team. They're getting 10 points. I'll take Arizona with you. I'm with you on Arizona.
Yeah, I think Peterson might not even play. He's gonna be like, I'm not gonna go to Arizona, get embarrassed. I could just feel like he decides not to play. He did play against Houston, but that was at home. It's so different at Fog Allen in Lawrence. There, it's so different. So yeah, it is.
What do you think about St. John's to bounce back after their UConn game? Is that almost like an auto play as well?
It would be, but Villanova is just kind of weird now. Now that they don't have that awful coach in Kyle Neptune, Kevin Willard's actually a decent coach, and it just depends. I mean, I'd be way more comfortable at 3 than at 4 or 5, which the books are showing, which the stuff's showing right now. St. John's just looked like shit. I don't even think they showed up for UConn. I think they kind of just mailed it in. They were 10 for 40 or something. They're just. I think they went through.
They didn't score a basket for the last 17 and a half minutes in the second half.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
they have to play better, but you're laying.
On principle, you gotta. I mean, dude, you think coach is gonna let that kind of crap fly?
I hope
no
not.
way. It
was a 7-point game. It was a 7-point game when Nova lost to him at home. So is Nova thinking road revenge here, or is St. John's gonna fucking? It's Patino. I don't want to fade Patino here. It would be St. John's or nothing for me.
I have 23 games written down for me for Saturday. The biggest school I have on here out of all these, it would probably be Chattanooga, I guess, would probably be the biggest one here. Maybe Buffalo out of the MAC. Everything else is all small. I'm 100% going to bet St. John's off of that game. I have to. Not just because I'm an old school St. John's, Malik Sealy, Boo Harvey fan. No. Just you get waylaid like that, bro, no way to coach. No way the coach is letting that slip. That was an embarrassing all across the board. I'm laying. I don't care. I'm not even a fave guy, but I'll lay it there.
It's a great spot play, isn't it? Let's look at Sunday a little bit, see if there's anything that pops. You're going to have a Michigan State at an Indiana. I think we have to watch Michigan State tonight, and that's a problem with Sundays because you have to wait for the Thursday night games, and this is being recorded on Thursday afternoon right now. But I think Indiana's such a fake team, but I don't. Michigan State has no offense either. I would look to the under maybe. It's going to be 141. If I had to make a bet on it, it'd be the under. But it's one of those ones that you can see Indiana start pacing to, and then just giving up easy layups to Michigan State, and that's how Michigan State does go over when it happens. It all happens near proximity stuff. God, Michigan State's such a bad shooting team.
I mean, you're looking at that. I'm looking. I pulled up KenPom. I'm looking at Rice as a play, Ryder. That's where I'm like. What kind of terrible underdog can I take here?
I got a few for you. March 1st. How about Tulane at South Florida at 16-point difference? That's a nasty game too. But Tulane isn't exactly terrible. They rank like 187th. South Florida's 55th, and South Florida's just been rolling too. That's an interesting dog. You're gonna get 16 points. Shit, that's a big number. Rice at Temple. Rice is gonna be about 8-point dog at Temple. That's interesting. How about this? Is right up your alley. Quinnipiac is going to be laying road chalk at Canisius.
But again, I'm not a road chalk guy, and as much as let me tell you though, home dogs in the AA MAC have been pretty good.
No, I meant you like Canisius. That's what I meant. I meant you would be on the dog here.
Yeah.
Canisius at home in Canisius.
Yes, for sure. I lean a little Canisius there.
Yeah.
Again, some of these conferences, like I said, you got to look at their. I do. I mean, for whatever reason, they've been paying off since January. Again, you got to wait. You got to wait for them to get some games under their belt. So it really takes off in February when they played like 8 or 10 games. But there's not much different. Okay, a team's 1-20, but if they got 4 wins in conference, the other team is 6. Is that team that much better when they're playing the same kind of competition?
No.
That's what I kind of check out.
You know what's funny about that?
I had a couple baseball totals for you there. I figured we'd go deep for you.
Oh, there you go. Well, you know what? We can talk about that in a minute. Let's get into our beer bet bangers then. I'm going to do something unorthodox here, and you can just call me a Duke hater. I guess everybody else does, but I'm going to say my beer bet banger is Virginia goes to Cameron Indoor and beats Duke. Virginia's been freaking just so under the radar, man. Nobody's talking about them. They're just rolling in the ACC. They won 10 in a row. 9 in a row. They're not just beating teams. They're beating the crap out of them too. I think Virginia could be up for the taking here. I mean, Duke could be up for the taking, I should say. At home, just kind of sleeping a little bit. They got the big Michigan win, and Michigan shot like shit that game too. And then Notre Dame was a freaking walk in the park. Notre Dame started injured they lost their best player in December. And it's not like you can't give them too much credit for that. But this feels like the only game they could lose at home, and I'm going to put a plus 400 sprinkle on Virginia.
Virginia, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, this Virginia team, I know Duke's, got the number 1 defense now, especially after the Michigan numbers and all that. I thought that was more about Michigan, but Virginia's in the top 24 in both offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. They're number 4 in opponent effective field goal percentage. I mean, of course, if the whistles are going to start going Cameron Indoor style, then yeah, we're probably out of it. But I mean, they're going to be 7.5, 8-point dogs here. I'm not saying I'm going to bet it, but a little money line sprinkle could be fun. I don't know. I see some variance in this game. I actually might bet it, but I'm looking at Virginia.
Well, I'll go a little crazy with you. Let's see what I can find one.
Sure. Beer bet banger. Anything plus money. And it could be golf. It could be NFL for next year. But of course, everyone will forget by then. Could be anything.
I'm gonna go with my Auburn hate here and say Ole Miss money line versus Auburn.
Okay. Mr. Auburn hate. What my buy low team.
and they dropped 10 in a row, 11 straight losses for Ole Miss.
I'm texting you if that happens. I mean, Auburn is a suspect team. Don't get me wrong, but Ole Miss is freaking awful. But Chris Beard is supposed to be a good coach too. I don't know what the hell happened to him, man. This is maybe
they're off a 2-time loser to LSU. 20-point loss, 3-point loss,
It's not
12,
good. It's not
20.
good. It's not a good spot for them.
Not
but
good.
You're going to get plus 500 probably.
I'm just trying to find a wacky one to grab there on a Saturday.
It's pretty wacky.
Oh, I mean, listen, I can come in with
How about Virginia Tech at North Carolina? That's another one.
with like FDU or something fairly ridiculous against LIU or somewhere along those lines. Southeast Louisiana plus 6 or so.
Yeah, that's in your wheelhouse.
I just went with a big school for everybody. I don't want to scare everybody with my little schools.
You don't scare anybody. All cash is the same, as we all know.
Come on.
If they weren't scared away by Maryland Eastern Shore by now, they're still here and they're good.
I grabbed for baseball. I grabbed a Pirates over win total 75.5.
Ooh,
Skeens Cy Young. I'm not even a Skeens guy. I make fun of Paul Skeens. I said that he's going to be like Mason Miller in the bullpen pretty soon. But the plus 350 for a Cy Young for a guy last year had 10 wins. They love him. They want him to be. They want him to be the next whoever, Nolan Ryan. 350 for a guy who could 10 wins. That's the threshold we got to talk about for this guy to get a Cy Young award. 10 wins and 200 strikeouts. So plus 350, I'll take a shot. Cardinals are terrible. I think the Brewers are going to take a step back. I'm not really sure about their pitching. The Reds are the Reds. And then who we got? The Cubbies. I think the Pirates could steal some wins there like that.
Well, I was at the game. I was at the Cubs game yesterday, and they were down 9-0 to the Rockies, and they had most of their starters in. They had Tyone pitching, and he freaking first pitch of the game. I'm sitting there at beautiful seats right behind home plate, and he freaking just rocks one into the right field home run. Freaking first pitch of the game, and Tyone just keeps giving up runs and runs and runs. I'm like, are you just practicing some new pitches? I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And you got all the big dogs. Bregman's in. PCH is in. Or PCA's in. Friggin' Stansby Swanson's in. All the guys are in for the Chicago Cubs. And you're like, how are you just getting your ass kicked by this Rockies? Don't get me wrong. This is spring training. People work on their swings. People do all the different shit. They experiment all the time. But it's just like, I mean, the Cubs, they couldn't put it together. Like when they had a good pitching day, they had a bad hitting day. When they had a good hitting day, they had a bad pitching bullpen day. It was just the way it is for them. I mean, I love Skeens. He's going to be a Dodger in a couple years, so got to love that. And, I don't know. I was on the over, I think, last year with Pittsburgh. I can't remember if they hit or not, but I don't know. I didn't get into baseball yet.
Yeah, I did about 10 totals I grabbed. So I just figured I'd come in and throw a couple out. It is, we were starting to get the baseball. I took a Twins under as well. That's a team the last 2 years have done nothing to add anybody to their roster. And the Tigers, the Royals, Cleveland.
Guardians. I like Guardians under. I would take Guardians under. This luck shit has to end. And with Kansas City there, the White Sox will be better. And so will the Detroit Tigers are hot. They're looking good. I think it's time for the Guardians to take a seat.
And then here's the thing, Kiev, and this is what I'm bringing up. The Guardians' offense was, I think, worse than the Pirates' offense last year.
Yeah.
And yet they were in, like, the second round.
Made no sense. Well, they always pull pitchers out of their ass. That's why. They're always somehow, finding pitchers, which blows
their
my
own
mind.
way.
Yeah. Well, Sean, before my internet goes out, can you let our listeners know where you can get your wonderful information and plays for the weekend?
Yeah. Well, I'm Mr. Sean Higgs on the X. Come check me out. Daily Midday Money, 7 days a week at 12 noon. I follow it up at night with Look at Lines, where I jump into the new college basketball schedule as it comes up for the next day. It started, Kid, this is basically my 5-year anniversary. This is when I started my little Midday Money show right around now for conference tournaments.
All right.
And they're back on Monday. So 5 I do that.
Years.
And, big 5 spot.
Let's get a big winner for the big 5 spot for Sean. Make sure you guys check out Mr. Sean Higgs. All right. Well, to recap my plays that we are tracking on
spreadsheet. I think we're close to 500 right now. I'll give you the exact numbers, actually. And this is just since the start of the season. We are 15-16, so a little bit under 500, going 2-3 last week. I wish I was able to count the Texas Tech, but I couldn't because I didn't really give that out. I said I was going to bet it, but it wasn't one of the plays. But here's the official plays. Iowa State minus 7.5-ish. And if we get a better number on that, just watch for the openers. UCF minus 5 and the over on TCU versus Kansas State. And, some of the stuff Sean said I really like, especially St. John's. You probably got to lay that. Maybe even lay Arizona here coming on up. Michigan over, and then Illinois side on that possibly. Western Michigan, just depends if it's number dependent here. Oregon State with the coach at Fire Angle is very interesting too. But the official plays will be Iowa State, UCF, and the over on TCU versus Kansas State. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Odds Breakers. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Odds Breakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Get in our Splash Sports Survivor Tournament. And we're going to have our tournament coming back for March Madness. Have a wonderful weekend and go get some winners.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.